Newt Gingrich here, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my podcast, Newt's World. Most people know me as the former Speaker of the House, but I'm also a historian with a wide range of interests. I enjoy talking with fascinating people who are doing extraordinary things. I release 3 episodes of Newt's World every week, and I want to invite you to listen. Hopefully, we'll both learn something new. Listen to Newt's World on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Stay right here for our final news roundup and information overload.
All right, news roundup, information overload hour, 800-941-SEAN, our number if you want to be a part of the program. Only 6 days now till Election Day in America, and well, this time next week we'll be discussing the results of races all around the country, or at least some of them, those that report, likely not Pennsylvania, by the way, according to officials there, which is unconscionable to me. You should have next day results. Anyway, we have a lot of close races. I refuse to go down the road that this is, or make a statement that this is going to be a wave election year. Now, it has all the signs that it could be. It's possible. And a lot of the polls are showing that it's beyond possible. You can even have a tsunami election. That is a reality. Democrats have been disastrous in their leadership position. There's no disputing that at all in any way whatsoever. You got Herschel Walker in a very tight race with Raphael Warnock down in Georgia. If I had to guess, probably that's going to go to a runoff. That runoff would be on December the 6th. If in fact it gets to that point, I'd say advantage Herschel Walker, but we're not there. I'd rather Herschel win outright. Even Governor Kemp is at 51% of the vote right now. If he gets below 50, he'll have to have a runoff against Stacey Abrams. That would be December 6th as well. So that's not a slam dunk. Then you go to the state of New Hampshire, and we have a 1-point race with Don Bolduc seemingly coming out of nowhere, and General Bolduc now is up 1 against Maggie Hassan. A winnable race, but very, very tight, very, very close. The race in Pennsylvania remains close. Dr. Oz has pulled away from Fetterman. In some polls, he's leading by as much as 3. In other polls, only by 1 point. But it's going to be a very, very hard race for Dr. Oz in the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Democrats are now pouring tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars to try and get Fetterman over the finish line. They're sending in Barack Obama over the weekend to try and help him out. I assume Barack will be doing all the talking and not John Fetterman. Then, of course, we've got races that we're looking at that are also close. We did have a game changer a little bit in Arizona. Blake Masters, the Libertarian candidate that had been polling around 6 points, has now not only dropped out of the race, but he's endorsed Blake Masters. That should help him a lot in the state of Arizona. Adam Laxalt is only leading by 1 or 2 points in the state of Nevada. Then you have Tiffany Smiley looking pretty good. A dead heat race in the state of Washington that I don't think anybody saw coming. In gubernatorial races, you got Lee Zeldin now up slightly in New York, but it's the deepest of deep blue states. We mentioned Connecticut earlier today. That's a possibility as well. Then you got Tudor Dixon, who's taken a slight lead over Gretchen Whitmer. What all of these races that I've mentioned have in common is they're very, very close. And for those people that are saying with great confidence this is going to be a wave election, I refuse to set expectations that high. It's only going to happen if you do your part. It's only going to happen if people feel the urgency of the moment of this time to get this country back on course and prevent further damage from occurring. Anyway, here to look at these close races, we have our pollsters, John McLaughlin, founder of McLaughlin and Associates, Matt Towery, pollster, attorney. He's with Insider Advantage. Welcome both of you to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here.
By the way, I see that Bibi Netanyahu will be the prime minister of Israel again, John McLaughlin. You've worked with Bibi for decades. That was a huge win yesterday.
Well, if I sound tired, it's because it's a long commute to go back and forth. And we, you know, it was going to be close. It looked like, but he was able to do things because there's a lot of last minute voting in Israel, and the prime minister is a machine. He was out there campaigning. He was literally going door to door, and they were showing it on Facebook. And but the key thing was the top issue was inflation, also security, And Israel may be, thousands of miles away, but we've all got concerns in common, and they went right. So hopefully it's a good omen that Bibi's going to be prime minister again. He's going to have a coalition where they're probably going to get 65 seats because some of their opposition on the left didn't qualify. And now, Biden, by the way, is saying, they may not form the government. They shouldn't have this one in there. They're already meddling in it. The Israelis have spoken. Tuesday, the Americans get to speak. And between now and Tuesday, you're right. Everybody where there's early in-person voting, Republicans, conservatives, Democrats who agree with us, independents, they need to go vote and not leave things up to chance because, like I said, in New York State, Lee Zeldin is in a dead heat. Trafalgar has us up by a point. I'm working for Lee Zeldin. And we have it as a dead heat as well. Kellyanne Conway has it as dead heat. Amazing in New York where the Democrats outnumber us and they make up half the electorate, but 1/5 of the Democrats are voting for Lee Zeldin. 1/3 of the New York City voters are voting for Lee Zeldin because crime is out of control in this state. And we have a governor who says in the debate, why is that so important to you? When Lee challenged her on releasing criminals, thousands of criminals. And then over the weekend, she goes on MSNBC and starts talking about how, the statistics say that crime hasn't gone up.
Data deniers. The only data denier in New York State is her.
Exactly. So we've got to make sure that would be a huge win, and that's a must-win because those of us who still live in New York, this is about our personal safety as well as inflation is a top issue. It's ridiculous, and it's symbolic of what's going on around the country right now.
Matt, let's look at the U.S. Senate. I mentioned the race in Georgia. You know Georgia well. I mentioned the race in Pennsylvania. I mentioned New Hampshire. I mentioned Arizona. I mentioned Nevada. I mentioned the state of Washington. All of those races are within a point or two or dead even. What happens?
Well, first, congratulations, John, on a great win. John does great work. What happens? Well, let me give your listeners just something to know. It doesn't suggest that this is the wave or a tsunami. I know we don't want to get expectations too high for anybody. But in the polling we're doing for the Fox affiliates all over the country and a few other polls we're doing for other groups, there are a couple of trends that are emerging no matter where you are. One is that Hispanic, Latino, and, quote, other voters, other races other than Caucasian, white, / African American, are breaking for these Republicans at like 60% margins, which is just something we have never seen before. So keep that in mind. And secondly, in a lot of these states where there's a large African-American population, Republicans are consistently pulling in the nominees 20 to 25% of the vote in the surveys. We've never seen this happen before either. Mm-hmm. So with those two sort of groups sort of changing, those demographics changing, it can explain to you why so many of these races that people a month ago did not think were going to be so close are becoming so close or are moving towards the Republicans, because you still have independent voters breaking for the Republicans in all of these states. I mean, it really is an amazing thing when you're a pollster to watch these various demographic groups start shifting. And boy, about 3.5 weeks ago, they started shifting, and they have not stopped.
Let's look at these races in particular. Georgia, where do you see it going? I'll ask both of you. We'll move through these states quickly.
Well, I trust the insider polls.
Well, thank you, John.
So you trust Matt Towery, who has Herschel up, I guess the last time I looked, by 2, 3, I forget.
Yeah, in fact, let me tell you what's interesting in that race, Sean. So they keep rolling out these attacks on Herschel Walker. They brought a well-known attorney, and then her client showed up on Good Morning America. And every time we poll after this stuff comes out, Walker goes up, not down. I have a theory. I think it's being viewed by voters in Georgia as being sort of a Brett Kavanaugh type situation, and it's backfired. So it's possible they may just push Walker into a victory without a runoff with their own advertising and their own press conferences.
That's pretty amazing. What do you think of Georgia? Where do you have it, John McLaughlin?
I've got a similar position where since the debate, Walker's pulled ahead. Plus, you got to remember, we changed the law. We work for the House majority. Speaker Olson changed the law. You don't have unsecured drop boxes anymore. You need voter ID to vote in person or vote absentee. So what they got away with in 2020 isn't going to happen this time. You're going to have an honest election and a fair election, and no one is going to be denied their civil rights. So in that kind of an environment, advantage Herschel Walker.
Let's go to General Don Bolduc. I have him and also Governor Sununu will be on this radio show tomorrow. They'll be on my TV show tomorrow night. Bolduc up by one. That was not a race that people thought just 2 weeks ago was really in play. What do you think, Matt?
That was one that we polled last week, and we had it basically even. I think that's going to be your upset special because you don't have a very complex electorate there. As Governor Sununu once told me, he said the only, quote, minority they had were French Canadians, which is hardly your typical minority in these other states. I think you're going to see that state elect the Republican nominee. I think that's one where the momentum is with him, and I don't think it's going to stop.
John, you agree?
I agree because what Matt's talking about, where people he's seeing the surge come for Republicans, it's because people are buying food every day and getting shocked at the supermarkets. They're buying gas. And in New Hampshire, they're buying heating oil and plus paying higher utility bills. And that's a sticker shock where Hassan has always been under 50, and the independents in New Hampshire are now moving towards General Bolduc.
All right, quick break. More with our pollsters, Matt Towery and John McLaughlin. 800-941-SEAN. Our number. Will get to your calls final half hour of the program.
Newt Gingrich here, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my podcast, Newt's World. Most people know me as the former Speaker of the House, but I'm also a historian with a wide range of interests. I enjoy talking with fascinating people across a variety of topics. On Newt's World, we've had some extraordinary guests join us, like former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
Ending the war in Vietnam was a necessity in order to help heal the divisions in the country.
John Clifton, the CEO of Gallup.
The world has been winning the war against hunger for 4 decades. In 2014, it switched. We have a serious hunger crisis.
And House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy.
What I've really found the Republican Party to be, it's the party of the people, the working people of America.
I release 3 episodes of Newt's World podcast every week, and I hope you'll find my conversations engaging and informative, and hopefully we'll both learn something new. Listen to Newt's World on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Newt Gingrich here, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my podcast, Newt's World. Most people know me as the former Speaker of the House, but I'm also a historian with a wide range of interests. I enjoy talking with fascinating people across a variety of topics. On Newt's World, we've had some extraordinary guests join us, like former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
Ending the war in Vietnam was a necessity in order to help heal the divisions in the country.
John Clifton, the CEO of Gallup.
The world has been winning the war against hunger for 4 decades. In 2014, it switched. We have a serious hunger crisis.
And House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy.
What I've really found the Republican Party to be, it's the party of the people, the working people of America.
I release 3 episodes of Newt's World podcast every week, and I hope you'll find my conversations engaging and informative, and hopefully we'll both learn something new. Listen to Newt's World on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Bad for America. Sean Hannity telling the truth that mainstream media likes to hide. Sean Hannity.
All right, we continue. Our pollsters are with us, John McLaughlin and Matt Towery, 6 days out of the midterms. Let's look at the state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz has now been leading in most recent polls, not by a lot, up by 3 in a couple, up by 2 in a couple, up by 1 in other polls. But Democrats now are pouring tens of millions of dollars into Pennsylvania to try and save Fetterman. We have Barack Obama headed there. What do you think happens, John McLaughlin, in Pennsylvania?
Well, they're trying to bring out the minority vote for Fetterman, but that's a guy who didn't he attack some African-American bar owner with a shotgun or something?
No,
like
he chased an innocent African-American jogger. A guy just out jogging down the street, pointed the gun, according to the jogger, at his chest and held him captive until the police came. The guy did nothing wrong.
Yeah, that was before he had a stroke.
Yes, correct.
So this is, I don't see the African American vote in Philadelphia coming out for this guy. And plus, again, he's at odds. I mean, the debate performance was a disaster, but he's really at odds with the people of Philadelphia and the rest of the state. We're seeing a crime surge. It's as bad or almost as bad as New York is in terms of being out of control.
Matt Towery, what about Dr. Oz?
We were the first poll, I think, for Fox Philly to show Oz move ahead of Fetterman, and that was after the debate, which John alluded to. I think the debate was such a disaster. I mean, the poll showed that 54% thought Oz won, only 21% thought Fetterman won, that I think you're going to have almost that ratio in how the votes break. The problem there is that so many early votes are in Pennsylvania, or were in, before the actual debate. So that's going to be a closer race than one might expect after hearing that debate. By the way,
you also have another factor here. For example, Herschel Walker, I mean, we expect Brian Kemp's going to win by a pretty big margin. We know Sununu is going to win by double digits and more in New Hampshire. We know Kari Lake's up by 11 in Arizona, which should help Blake Masters. For whatever reason, Doug Mastriano is not catching fire at all and seems to be down by double digits himself. So you're going to have a situation where people split their ticket, which, by the way, Selena Zito tells me is very common in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
It is common in Pennsylvania, and no, they don't have someone like Governor Sununu. By the way, Sununu I was mentioning was his father, John, not the current governor. But even though you don't have a strong gubernatorial candidate lifting this ticket, that is almost an entirely different scenario. Sean, when you have someone go and debate the way Fetterman did, and then in the post-debate continue to be sort of ducking the issues that are critical to people like health, and I'm not putting the man down, but he simply did not have a coherent performance. And
only because of the constraints of time. Quickly, who wins Nevada? Does Laxalt win, and does Blake Masters win, and does Tiffany Smiley win? Real quick, John McLaughlin, we'll start with you.
I think Nevada Laxalt wins, but he shouldn't take it for granted because the Democrats and the unions are strong out there. Arizona, Masters is as appears with the Libertarian endorsement, gonna win there. Smiley, I'm not sure of yet because it's tougher with the mail-in ballots out there. So,
all right, real quick, Matt Towery.
Keep running hard.
Yeah, I think Masters will probably win, but remember the Libertarian's name is still on the ballot, so he picks up maybe 2 points there, not the full 5. Maybe 3. I think that Washington State is tough, but it could happen. And as far as Nevada goes, I see Laxalt winning. But again, like John said, those unions are very powerful out there, so the Nevada folks are going to have to go out and vote to make sure that their candidate wins.
All right, John McLaughlin, Matt Towery, thank you both. 800-941-SEAN, our number if you want to be a part of the program. You've heard me raving about Genucel for over a decade. Why? Well, because it works. It's that simple. And by the way, so many have tried to duplicate the proprietary ingredients in Genucel products. They've all been unsuccessful. And right now you can see the results for yourself with Genucel's most popular package. And for a limited time, every most popular package is 70% off. And you'll get Genucel's customer favorite, their corrective serum, absolutely free. Linda swears by it. She loves it. Genucel's most popular package treats tens of millions of everyday skin problems, wrinkles, dark spots, dry skin, sagging jawline, bags, puffiness under your eyes. Linda, which one do you like the best?
I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you the hyaluronic acid is a fan fave. You know, women, men, this really works on your skin, tightens the skin, closes the pores, really helps your skin in the wintertime especially. And I still love the microdermabrasion by Genucel. I mean, you just can't beat it. Legs, arms, ankles, elbows, all the things. Just the best products ever at Genucel.com.
And they'll include their immediate effects where you see results in 12 hours guaranteed or your money back. Go to their website, Genucel.com/Sean. That's Genucel.com/Sean. And you'll get a complimentary gift and also free express shipping. That's Genucel.com/Sean from Chamonix.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, 25 down till the top of the hour. 800-941-SEAN. Our number if you want to be a part of the program. Ronnie is in North Carolina. Ronnie is a trucker, it says on my screen. First, thank you for what you do. Number 2, I'm very worried about truckers. We're now at, a 20-day supply of diesel fuel. and the prices are so astronomical. I know some truckers are staying home and not going on the road because they're not making enough money to make it worth their while. So these are very hard times for you guys, and I'm sorry to hear that for you, and I hope we get this straightened out soon.
Okay, thanks, Sean. First, I want to say congratulations to Linda for keeping you straight, for one, and for what.
Why are you sucking up to Linda? Why are you kissing up to her?
Well, we know behind every man's a good woman. And
thank you.
All right, behind every man, that would be Anthony. That's not Sean. Anthony is the love of her life, not Sean.
Okay, he's just talking about a work relationship, and between every good work relationship, there is a strong balance. That's all he's saying.
Okay,
Thank
you two
Linda.
now colluding. You
You're
sound
welcome.
like Joe Biden and the Saudis. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, Sean, yes, you're correct about the fuel prices. They are really hurting us bad out here, especially the owner-operators like myself. We're taking money that we used to put in our savings for our future, and now we're having to spend it on keeping our trucks running and keeping the fuel in them. But the main thing that is really hurting the trucking industry right now is the brokers. The brokers are cutting the rates so much on trucking that you're just about paying them to take their product for them on some cases. I've had cases like that where I've just about had to
Well,
pay
remember,
them
you
to
can
take
do
the
your
load
own
for them.
brokering. You're an owner-operator, right?
Right. But I'm trying to stay with this company that helped me become an owner-operator. It's an individual company, and they were great to me, and I feel obligated to do great by them.
Well, if I'll take your name and number, because I know people that do this, and they're not going to send any trucker out that's not going to make a fair day's wage. You might not be making what you're used to, but certainly make it worth your while to get out there. I just know people in this business, and I know more about it than people think. And I'm just telling you that there are companies out there that will look out for the truckers. You can't, if you're an owner operator, you have to make a certain level of profit, or at some point, when your truck breaks down, you don't want the wear and tear on your truck. It's not worth it anymore, especially with the supply chain crisis, because I know trucking companies, small companies, that are literally pulling off, taking one truck out of their fleet and using it for spare parts because they can't get the parts fast enough. Right. And they're using it for the rest of the fleet. It's very tough out there right now. But I would say that, while I appreciate loyalty and I believe in loyalty completely, if they're asking you to do something that is just not profitable for you, you gotta look out for your own interest on this.
Well, I am, but I also feel like, you take care of the ones that's helped you get where you're at. I'm sole believer in that. But there's no.
I believe that, but you know what? It works. A good deal is one where everybody wins, win-win. And if you're at a point where you're on the losing end of this deal, you got to go to the people. You have this good relationship with them, and you got to explain the economics to them. And you got to say, I've got to make more, or else I'm gonna have to look elsewhere. You can even map out your own, routes if you really wanted to. You go on that trucking bulletin board, whatever that means. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it's known by truckers. And you go on that bulletin board and you can map out your own, loads and your own rates and negotiate all of it yourself. But that's an art in and of itself, I'm told.
But the bad thing of it is, when the fuel prices keep going like they're going, we're going to have to start parking trucks, and then who's really going to be the ones hurt from it? The American citizens, because they're not going to have food to eat.
Nope.
Clothes
There are two things that are now coming to America. One is, if we don't get this diesel fuel shortage fixed, it's going to be a disaster. Because you're right, the store shelves will be empty. Number two, we're about to hit wintertime, and people's heating bills are going up a minimum of 30%. A minimum of 30%. So I could just say to you, it's very, very critical that we get this election won and we begin the process. Listen, Republicans are not going to have the power to make Joe Biden sign these bills, but we're going to lay the foundation to stop the insanity of new Green Deal climate cultism, and then B, hopefully elect a Republican with a very strong majority in the House and Senate, and we can get the country back on track with conservative principles that we know work, and hopefully America will have learned its lesson yet again that socialism always fails. But, this is now a process, and we're stuck in the middle of it because we're stuck with this guy for another 2 years, which is not good for the country. Anyway, if you want to leave your number, I can pass it on to other people that I know in the trucking business. If they can help you, that'd be great. I want to see you do well. Okay, my friend?
All right. Thank you, Sean, and you have a blessed day, buddy.
You too, buddy. God bless you. All right, let's say hi to, Bill in Texas. Bill, how are you? Glad you called.
For taking my call. I'm doing great. Yesterday, I felt like I was in a nightmare situation. I was on the New York State Thruway near Buffalo, and I went in to get me and my wife lunch. Got a quarter pounder with cheese with bacon, a filet of fish sandwich, small fries, and 2 shakes. $30.65.
Oh my gosh. It's nuts.
$30.65.
I'll tell you, when I go to shopping every week, and when I fill up my gas tank, I just get angry. Now you might say, Hannity, you can afford it, and you'd be right. I can't afford it. But I lived all those years in my adult life, many of them, where I couldn't afford it. And so my mindset in some ways has changed, but in a lot of other ways it's not. I still have that mentality that, man, this is so unnecessary. We have more energy under our feet in this country, natural resources, more than all of OPEC plus combined, and we're kissing their ass to give us the lifeblood of our economy, compromising national security, compromising high-paying career jobs, hurting the entire economy because everything costs more to deliver products to market. And it's like, I'm so frustrated by it. Words can't describe it. $35. What did you used to pay? 20?
Oh, 20 or 15. I've been around since when the hamburger was 15 cents. So I've been around a while. But
right, you sound like my father now, that he used to go see a double feature for a nickel. Let's not get crazy here.
Imagine a family of 4 or a family of 6 going in there to eat lunch. It'd either be $60 or $90. They can't afford that. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So I talked to my friends that own restaurants, the same people that barely made it through COVID. They found a way. They started delivery services. Their customers were loyal to them. And now they find themselves in the position where people are not eating out as often, and they've got to charge more. Why do they have to charge more? Because every item they're buying food-wise is costing more. And there's only so much people are willing to pay to go out to eat. And when the average family's hit with a $7,200 Biden inflation cost, the first thing to go is, going out to eat. Or instead of, there was an article out about how people are dumping the idea of having a turkey this year, and they're going with pizza. And I have no doubt there are going to be American families that do that. They're going to say, forget it. We can't afford all this. We're just going to have pizza this year, and we'll be together, and that's all that really matters.
It's crazy.
Sucks.
My wife and I watch your show every night. I'll let you go. Yeah. You have a great day.
All right, you too, Bill. God bless you, man. Appreciate the call. Let's say hi to John is in Michigan. John, how are you? Glad you called.
Hey, Sean. It's good to talk to you. I actually only have a quick minute here at the moment, but I'm really concerned about this race in Alaska, but it's not just because of how much Murkowski sucks. You see, when you look at the way they've set the election up this year, best I could describe it is take what Maine's been doing since 2018, the mess over there, and Alaska just said, hold my beer. Because ranked choice voting, you don't have primaries when there's ranked choice. You just
insane.
You count, and you do it.
It is the Lisa Murkowski Incumbent Protection Act voting system. That's what it is. And, I fear at the end of the day, it might work again. I'm hoping the people of Alaska wake up. I like Kelly Chewbacca. I think she's a great conservative, would be a great addition to Congress. I'd like to see Sarah Palin back in the game. That would be great for the people of Alaska. She's going to go to Washington. She's not going to be part of the good old boy, crowd system there and get along swamp sewer of Washington. She'll shake things up. and she'll stand on principle, and I think she'll do a good job for the people of Alaska.
No, I entirely agree with you. I just really hope people look past this mess and take a good look at what ranked choice voting really does instead of blaming it for the
They
possible
need to
mess
change
they're gonna
this. Alaska needs to make this a priority and change this insane voting system. I agree. John, thank you. Aaron, Colorado. What's up, Aaron? How are you? All right, Aaron's not there. Wendy in the great free state of Florida. What's up, Wendy? How are you?
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for checking in.
Oh, well, we wanted to just say hi from Florida. We're all really happy down here. Oh, yeah, we're happy in Florida. We've got the best governor in the whole United States, and we're hoping to keep it that way. So I own a restaurant, and a lot of my guests are feeling very optimistic about Tuesday. And if you've got any kind of business of your own, I think most people are out voting for DeSantis on Tuesday.
I would predict DeSantis is going to win by double digits. The same with Marco Rubio. I had DeSantis on TV last night with Lee Zeldin, and I said, "You must be really nervous. Joe Biden is down there, campaigning against you." He said, "We'll pay for it. We'll put him up in Florida. Please stay here for the rest of the campaign against me because it's only going to help me." And he's not wrong on that. And if you look at where Joe's traveling, nobody wants him to campaign for him. There's no significant race he's going to except for Pennsylvania, and that won't help John Fetterman in Pennsylvania.
Well, I haven't heard anybody say anything in the last few days about Biden being here, so I don't know anyone that's gone to see him. His rallies are not very big, so...
Larry Sabato said it best. The best thing Biden can do for his fellow Democrats is stay home.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to check in because we love your show so much, and there's so many people still moving to Florida, so it tells you something about his governorship, what's going on down here. People are staying open. They're doing great. I mean, everything is still changing with, I heard you talking to the trucker, and it is worrisome, but we're all still hanging in here and going every day, and we're still very busy, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Listen, Don Lemon even said Democrats don't want to be seen with Biden before the midterms. Listen to this.
That's a big factor in where Biden has been these last few days. He is not going to the places that you're seeing former President Obama go to. It's because of that approval rating.
And a lot of people are not, they don't want to be seen with the president, quite frankly, and they don't want to even answer the question about whether they should be running with him or having him on the campaign trail, or if they'll support him come 2020.
Yeah.
Listen, even this Hail Mary pass of bringing in Obama to Wisconsin and Arizona, and Americans now are reminded daily of the damage that has been done. And if you remember the damage that's done and you're in the voting booth, I don't think it's a hard decision. Liberalism, the promises of socialism are one where they overpromise, never deliver, one that creates more poverty, one that ends up with a loss of freedom. It doesn't matter what name it's given, what form it takes, it always ends up the same. Unfulfilled promises, more poverty, and a loss of freedom. Let's not have that happen. We can stop it in 6 days. Our friends at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they're building their Do Good Village in Land O'Lakes, Florida. Now, Tunnel to Towers is doing even more for their program recipients, and it's all thanks to the extraordinary donation of many acres of land and, of course, your kindness, your generosity. Without you, it's not possible. Now, it's a first of its kind. It's a community of 100% and 110 homes, but it's all for program recipients. In other words, families of fallen first responders and Gold Star families and families of catastrophically injured first responders and service members, all in one community, all living as neighbors, their kids playing with each other, growing up with each other, loving families that are there for one another in good times and bad times. Now, you can help America's greatest heroes and their families heal together, and let's make the Do Good Village the first of hopefully many communities like it around the country. And with every mortgage-free home, the foundation makes good on their promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices our nation's greatest heroes have made for our country and our communities. Now, all of us here at the Hannity Show are on board. We're asking all of you to donate, put aside $11 a month. I know these are tough economic times, but that's 2 Starbucks coffees, in a month. All of us can forego something. Anyway, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org. That's the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
John Kerry, making America green, one Learjet liberal flight at a time. You just can't make this stuff up. Sean Hannity is on right now.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for today. We'll take a look tonight at these close elections. Tiffany Smiley now in a dead-even race with Patty Murray out in the state of Washington. J.D. Vance and his battle against Tim Ryan from last night. Out in Oregon, Christine Drazan actually has a chance to win as a Republican to be governor. We'll check in with Charles Payne, Lindsey Graham, Mark Meadows, Reince Priebus. 9 Eastern, set your DVR, Hannity, Fox News, best TV election coverage. We'll see you tonight, back here tomorrow with only 5 days till the important midterm elections.
Newt Gingrich here, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my podcast, Newt's World. Most people know me as the former Speaker of the House, but I'm also a historian with a wide range of interest. I enjoy talking with fascinating people who are doing extraordinary things. I release 3 episodes of Newt's World every week, and I want to invite you to listen. Hopefully, we'll both learn something new. Listen to Newt's World on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.